Good evening, everyone. Welcome to BlackLogic. So the Somali joke that no American really actually got, not even myself. Supposedly, this whole thing about America or Minnesota belonging to Somali has been a big fat joke, and then the Somalis actually mocking the Jews out of all people. So when people lose grounding in law, they reach for myth, and when myth fails, they reach for mockery. Lately, we've seen something reckless, claims that Minnesota was promised by God, claims that the 14th Amendment belongs to Somalis, and jokes mocking Jewish biblical land claims. And I'm not caping for Jewish people at all. But this as if geopolitics is a comedy skit. That's not bold. That's not clever. That's dangerously stupid, in my opinion. So let's clean this up a bit. But we have to start at the beginning, do we not? We have to get some sort of context and historical reference of some of the memes and AI generated of Minnesota being promised to Somalis 3,000 years ago.
Somalis 3,000 years ago, and I got proof. In this video alone, I'm going to show you the evidence as to why Minnesota is the native land. So as we should all know by now, some of the first early settlers of Minnesota were actually Somali explorers. They came to Minnesota and actually set up one of the first early civilizations. And as you can see here, this is a picture of the Somali founding fathers of Minnesota. Even this guy here, he's still Somali, he's just half Yemeni. And as well, we can quite clearly see the Somali flag waving in the background.
Now, granted, to my own detriment, there was clues throughout a lot of these AI generated videos that a lot of Somalis are making that, again, was mocking Minnesota belonging to Somalis 3,000 years ago. Now, this is no joke in time for Somalis to be making such lewd, heinous, wrong depictions of history and jokes, because the whole Genesis phrase, knowing that America is a Christian nation, not that that's the official religion of America, because you have freedom of religion in America. That's why a lot of white Europeans came to America, aka Jewish people, but nonetheless mocking Christianity in a certain degree as using the Bible as cause of this land belonging to Somalis. And they reference Genesis 12:3, which is a covenant narrative specific to Abrahamic lineage that really debated for centuries within Jewish theology and Christian interpretation and Islamic scholarship. So as we look at these things combined, what it is not. A U.S. land deed is not that. A constitutional override, neither that. A transferable prophecy, a Minnesota zoning permit, mocking Jewish land claims by copying and pasting the same logic and saying, see, we can do it too. It's not satire, it's self-exposure. So if you think mocking power is strategy, you don't understand power at all. When I look at the Hebrew scholarship, a lot of the Genesis commentaries, Rashi Rabban, and the Karen Armstrong, A History of God, the U.S. Establishment Clause of Just Prudence, Supreme Court, Reynolds versus United States, all of these play a pivotal role in the so-called mockery of Jewish, or the mockery of a joke in some ways or another. I really don't understand. This is not praise. This is not defense. This is reality. Outside of foundational Black Americans, no group has deeper institutional insulation in America than Jewish Americans when it comes to finance, media, law, academia, foreign policy. This is not conspiracy. This is documented influence. So instead of seeking coalition, Somalis, instead of seeking protection, Somalis, or political maturity, mocking Jewish historical claims, especially during global conflict, does not make you brave. And I'm not talking to all Somalis. I am talking to a small demographic of Somalis in America, illegal or legal, and maybe even a Somali that has made this mockery. You're messing with a very dangerous group. And I'm not caping for the Jews, but I'm just letting you know what a lot of Americans already have felt, what Americans already have experienced, and what a lot of Americans already know. That is what we need to understand. And I'm not saying for you to be fearful, but predicated upon your status, outside of foundational Black Americans, Jewish people are probably the only people that can help your status here in America, because they have the influence, they have the power, and most definitely they have the money. So this makes you very, very visible when you create jokes as of this elaborate. I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna show a couple of clips again to build a foundation here.
Folks, that's Minnesota, the land that was promised to us, our home.
Are USA.
My pronouns are USA. How about it?
My pronouns are USA.
Is the home of the Somali people, in which it fulfills its natural, cultural, religious, and historical right to self-determination. The state of Minnesota
1,000 years ago puts you 1,000 before Christ. Given that y'all got free education, free housing, free food, free internet, may you explain to the rest of the world how you were promised Minnesota when there was no Minnesota then. Hell, Christopher Columbus didn't even find America yet. So how are you promised Minnesota 3,000 years ago?
So again, and in the comment section, it's damn, we even fooled Asian people. So with it, it's a mockery and or a joke. Americans didn't get it. And believe me, no American is, that's funny. Oh man, that's terrific. That's funny. So why would you, in some regards, a country that is don't really have a stable government, don't have a stable military, don't have a stable economy, and for those Somalis in America, why would you even let this small demographic of people, that's what they're stating, to make a mockery not only of the 14th Amendment, but Genesis 12, chapter 12, verse 3, or one of the most powerful groups in the world? We're talking about the Ashkenazi Jews. We're talking about, because don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, all Jews aren't white. There's Black Jews, Asian Jews, Hispanic Jews, but we're talking about a very powerful group of people collaboratively across the world. And you're making mockery of them? I don't think that's wise at all. I don't think that's wise at all. Now, here's another thing why I should have got this joke. Now, I didn't get the joke or the mockery, so to speak, when they showed depiction that some white man was AKA Somali. I didn't get it then. I should have got it when I referenced this live with you guys just yesterday about Somalia being on the Horn of Africa with the other countries they're in, and then Israel, okay, with the Bible was kind of stating this region of Israel that was Syria, Iraq, Jordan, okay, because the land of Canaan just is not what you just see on the map here. The land of Canaan, Israel at one point in time was supposedly much larger, as some theologians and biblical historians were stating. But nonetheless, I should have got the joke then. But again, I didn't get the joke. I didn't get the mockery. I don't think it's funny. I don't think it benefits Somali position. I really don't think it helps their position here in America, especially those who are immigrants and not naturally born to this land, especially during global conflict. This doesn't make it funny. This doesn't make you brave. It makes you very, very visible. And visibility without power is very dangerous. You don't punch up by insulting the roof while standing on borrowed floorboards. I just don't get it. And as we continue down this, again, I'll show you that passage from yesterday. Okay. And if you research this, again, they're talking about in referencing the land of Canaan. Again, what's that region that I just pointed out? I just want to give you guys some context here. And here's another context clue of the interview between Ted Cruz and Tucker Carlson. Listen in on this as well.
Growing up in Sunday school, I was taught from the Bible, those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. And from my perspective, I want to be on the blessing side of things.
Of those who bless the government of Israel?
Those who bless Israel is what it says. It doesn't say the government of, it says the nation of Israel. So that's in the Bible. As a Christian, I believe that.
Where is that?
I can find it to you. I don't have the scripture off the tip of my, you pull out the phone and use the
It's in Genesis. So you're quoting a Bible phrase. You don't have context for it and you don't know where in the Bible it is, but that's like your theology? I'm confused. What does that even mean?
Tucker.
I'm a Christian. I want to know what you're talking about.
Okay. Where does my support for Israel come from? Number one, because biblically we're commanded to support Israel. But number two,
hold on.
I'm not holding on.
Hold on. You're a senator, and now you're throwing out theology, and I am a Christian, and I am allowed to weigh in on this. We are commanded as Christians to support the government of Israel?
We are commanded to support Israel. And what
does that mean, Israel?
We're told those who bless Israel will be blessed.
But what? Hold on. Define Israel. This is important. Are you kidding? This is a majority Christian country.
Define Israel? Do you not know what Israel is? That would be the country you've asked like 49 questions about.
So that's what Genesis, that's what God is talking about.
The nation of Israel, yes.
And so is that the current borders, the current leadership? He's talking about the political entity called Israel?
He's talking about the nation of Israel. Yeah, nations exists, and he's discussing a nation. A nation was the people of Israel.
Is the nation
They're the descendants
God's
of Abraham.
referring to in Genesis, is that the same as the country run by Benjamin Netanyahu right now?
All right, so that was to give you guys a little more context. But there's another piece of this that we have to cover as well, because none of this is funny. None of this is a joke to Americans, especially when people are speaking out about how Minnesota is being ran and how that a lot of Somalis are running very fraudulent rings and scams inside of Minnesota. But we're going to move to the 14th Amendment with Ilhan Omar once again, because she referenced the 14th Amendment as if it guarantees that America would do nothing we don't want. Is not confidence. It's a misunderstanding of American law. The 14th Amendment protects citizenship status. It guarantees due process, and it does not guarantee political dominance. It does not override federal enforcement. It does not shield against immigration law. It does not protect illegal presence. It was written for formerly enslaved Black Americans, not as an immigrant veto. So the punchline here would simply be that the 14th Amendment protects existence, not entitlement. And we can look that up on all sorts of references, no less. America does not run on jokes, even though there's some things in America that's very funny, but it runs on paperwork. It runs on enforcement and power alignment. Now, I want you to show you this clip once again, and shout out to our brothers over at African Diaspora with Philip Scott. Okay, I want you guys to listen in on this as well.
In this country, see ourselves as Americans. That's what our passport says. That's what our nationality is. And we know that we are protected by the 14th Amendment. We know that we're not going anywhere. And we know that we are protected by the 14th Amendment. We know that we're not going anywhere. And there is no way.
All right, so that clip right there got me to say, oh, hell no. Now listen, Ilhan. I gotta go there, okay? You say you an American, but why did you say you trying to fight for Somalis in Somalia? You said that, ma'am. You said that. That don't sound very American. And you for sure not out here trying to fight for Black Americans. That 14th Amendment that you're talking about so much, that came from my ancestors, not yours. Your ancestors in Somalia doing whatever they were doing over there. My ancestors fought for the 13th Amendment, and definitely the 14th Amendment and the 15th Amendment. Those three amendments.
All right. So there's something else that I would like to point out to you guys because of what I pointed out yesterday. This was the video clip that Philip Scott and myself was referencing. Now, again, I interpret this because she's speaking in her native tongue. And again, I may pause it just to interpret this because I know that it's very small and some of you guys are watching on your cell phones. So I'll do my best. Again, this is saying my answer to Somalians was that the U.S. government will only do what Somalia and the U.S. tell them to do. They would do what we want and nothing else. They must follow our orders, and this is how we safeguard the interests of Somalia. Now, is this satire? Is this mockery? Is this AI generated? Is this funny? I'm just trying to figure it out because I'll get a bunch of, jokes in my comment section. I'll get a lot of explanation and explaining in my comment section. Are you taking it out of context? She doesn't mean it the way you interpret it. I'm interpreting the way that it's being written, no less. We Somalis must have the confidence in ourselves that we call the shots in the United States. We live in the United States, pay taxes in the U.S., and have a real voice. The U.S. is a country where one of your daughters, myself, is in Congress to represent your interests, okay? So again, I'm not going to go through the whole thing again, but you kind of get the gist. If you missed the video yesterday, you might want to go check that out. But mockery does not stop at ICE authority or visa revocation or denaturalization reviews or security classification or congressional backlash. History shows this very, very clearly. Japanese Americans joke nothing, they still got interned. Muslim post 9/11 didn't joke, still surveilled. Haitians weren't joking, still scapegoated. So America doesn't care how funny you are when the policy foul opens. Foundational Black Americans didn't say this out of hate. We don't speak out of hate in regards to any of this. We say it out of experience. You do not. You do not challenge scripture you don't control, mock groups with institutional leverage, rewrite constitutional history, assume preeminence without lineage and think it ends well. We've survived America long enough to recognize the warning signs. This isn't cruelty. This is reality. If you are in the country illegally, you have no constitutional leverage. You are vulnerable to policy shift. You're not insulated by rhetoric. You're not protected by jokes. You're not shielded by hashtags. This is not hatred. This is how sovereignty works. No nation is obligated to suspend its laws because you're loud online. This is the delusion that we're referring to. Somalis in America are not enemies, but delusion is very, very dangerous. You don't gain safety by trying to rewrite history or mocking power or abusing scripture or misusing the 14th Amendment, dismissing the lineage that built the shield you're hiding behind. You don't inherit a house by redecorating the living room. You just don't do it. This response isn't about hate. I have to keep saying it because some people are like, oh, this is divisive, this is hate. No, it's about intellectual discipline. The Bible didn't promise Minnesota. The 14th Amendment wasn't written for immigrants. Mockery is not strategy, and law does not bend to mythology. Foundational Black Americans are not guests in this country. We are the legal spine of this country, and anyone standing on that spine should jump or stop jumping, because we're tired of being the springboard of all these immigrant groups that come to America. And that is why we have delineated and still delineating from a lot of these immigrant groups, whether they share the same skin color, but a different lineage, or they're the exact opposite. We're making the delineation very decisive and clear. See, we don't play pretend with power. We don't joke our way into danger. We read the rules, understand the terrain, and move like people who plan to survive. So Ilhan Omar, the 14th Amendment, and the Minnesota myth, you better start getting some act right, because the government will start straightening as they have been. Let me point out a couple of more things to you guys. The reason why is important of delineation. Let me show you this.
He is a Jamaican American. I didn't state that. I'm not a Jamaican nothing. I am a freeman. I'm a descendant of chattel slavery. Me, Whitley Janae Gates, my family. There is no Jamaica. There is no Caribbean for me to go back to. So his proclivity and how he sees this country is going to be completely different than someone who is a descendant of chattel slavery. Completely different. So of course he wants more immigrants here. Of course, immigration, specifically illegal immigration, to him, as he stated, is a sign of growth. Of course, he believes that we should be utilizing our tax dollars and our resources to support people who've come over here, who've broken the law to be in this country, because it benefits his family. It benefits the story.
Yo. You can have a policy conversation. I'm gonna say this again. It's the third time your comments have referenced my family. I just want to be real clear. You can have any policy. You can have any policy comment. I'm just saying.
I'm talking about the Jamaican American.
Yeah, I won't let that play out, but you guys kind of get the gist. And if that, that's one of the things that we really have to point out. And I'll end with this clip right here, because I think this is imperative to understand as well. Because again, it's not that you voted for Trump, that you like for Trump, that you respect Trump, but on this one singular point, I think that you may just like, I agree, or I understand his position, especially when it comes to the foundation of America.
One more follow-up question. Mr. The fraud that you've been pointing out, talking about in Minnesota specifically, there have been some reports resurfacing and circulating, even by your own administration, alleging Ilhan Omar's marriage to her brother. And this would be a fraudulent situation. If there, in fact, is found to be fraud in a situation like that, would you like to see her denaturalized, or others who have similarly committed.
Well, I
from
think she's
Minnesota.
very bad for our country. All she does is complain, complain, complain. She comes out of a country where they have no government, they have no military, they have no police, they got no nothing. They don't have a country, and they run around killing each other. And then she comes over here. She tells the United States of America how it should be run. We don't want to hear from her. I don't want to hear from her. I don't want to speak for Emmer, but I don't think Emmer particularly wants to hear. But don't say it because I don't want to get you in trouble, okay? Just be nice and easy, all right? I'll do it for you, but that part I'll do. But I just want to say that there's nothing worse than a person that comes in and does nothing but bitch and comes from a place where she shouldn't be telling us what to do. She shouldn't be telling us. And everybody agrees with me. And what's happening in Minnesota with Somalia, where billions of dollars is being stolen, right? Like candy from a baby. We're not going to let that go on. And it's too great a state to have that happening. And guys like Tom Emmer and others, Pete Stauber, guys like them, they're going to stop it. And they're going to be given the authority to stop it because this country's not going to put up with it anymore.
All right, well, you guys heard the president. Now, again, the mockery, the joke, the 14th Amendment, Somalia belongs to, Minnesota belonged to Somalia for 3,000 years. Man, that was funny. Oh, man, that was a good joke.